sunshine. How are y'all doing today? As always, I am so glad that y'all are back here at this blissful corner. I get so excited, as you can obviously tell, when I get the opportunity to speak with you guys on today. So, thank you for coming back. If you like this blissful corner, I would love for you to come back and subscribe to this channel. I love you to be part of the family. So yeah, thanks for coming back, y'all. So we got some catching up to do, y'all. So let me first of all, let me talk about the chicken that I made that's posted right now on my video, because I didn't do the video of how we liked it or what have you, because y'all, it was late and I was tired and I was just like, I can't, honey, I cannot do it. So but I want to say that chicken was really good. It was leftovers for me to eat lunch, but it was not enough to carry over for a second meal for the next day. But y'all, it was really good. It was really, really, really good. So I really did like that video. I mean, that recipe from TikTok. I did another recipe that I got from TikTok. I didn't post it. It was good. It just, I want to tweak it a little bit, but it was good. It was really good. But I just, yeah, child. Yeah. But anyway, I want to come today with a serious conversation with you all. If you follow me on my podcast, which is This Blissful Corner, I've talked about this on my podcast, and I thought this would be a great topic to talk about on today, because, you know, I love sharing knowledge that I have gained over the years, and all the experience that I have experienced, being on here on God's great earth. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to talk about this on today. And so basically what I'm going to talk about today, let me just go ahead and jump into it, because I don't want to keep y'all waiting like that. I want to talk about marriage and how marriage is not for the weak. Now let me tell you something. Back then, when I was younger, in my 20s or what have you, marriage was played out as being this blissful thing. Everybody is happy, nobody have no problem, blah 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 blah. And it's played out now. It hasn't changed. You know, everything is blissful, you know, perfect picture, perfect house, perfect smile, all of this stuff. And let me tell you something, honey. Marriage is not for the weak. I can't stress that. I cannot stress that enough. Marriage is not for the weak. Do you hear me? If you notice, nowadays, a lot of marriages is not lasting over 5 years. Back in the day, it used to be 10. Now it's 5. And then there's our marriage that's been seasoned for 14 or 15 years, and now their marriage is dissolving. And that's what I'm saying. Marriage is not for the weak. Marriage is definitely not for the weak. And when I got married, I was 35 when I got married. I was pretty late in age. I was kind of settled, but not quite settled yet. But I was 35 when I got married, and it was a culture shock for me, because you have to understand, I've been single longer than I have been married. So to give up, you know, my singleness to become a married wife, it took me a while to adjust to. Like, this wasn't, you know, something I was ready for, honestly. But we've been married now 10 years, and, you know, we're going strong. But marriage is not for the weak, just for the mere fact of a lot of people go in it with one mind, and if it doesn't work out how their mind is telling them, then they don't want the marriage. And I'm gonna give you a prime example of that. Like I said, I've been married for 10 years now. And me and my husband, out of our 2-year marriage, we've had some great ups, and Lord knows we've had some great lows. Do you hear me? And I remember this episode, and I don't know if y'all know the show called Mary, the singing group Mary, and her sister Tina husband had an affair on her, and then Erica husband had an affair on her as well. And everybody talking about, when your husband cheat, that's a deal breaker. It's just time to let it go. And some people, that is a deal breaker for people. Some people feel like, I can't trust you if you cheat, and so I'm gonna let it go. So these two young ladies decided to stay in their marriage and work on their marriage, and people was up in a uproar, like, oh my God, I can't believe you gonna stay with that cheater. Once a cheater, always a cheater. This, that, and the third. And I was taken back about it, and I'm gonna tell you why. My parents went through a separation when I was about 12. My parents went through a separation about 9 to 10 months, but they went through that separation, and they're now back together. And in June of next year of 2023, my parents will have been married 50 years. God's willing, I believe it's gonna happen. But they will be married for 50 years. And it takes me aback because my mom and dad are so close. Like, don't get me wrong, your spouse will get on your nerve or what have you, but my mom and dad are so close that looking at them, you would have never known that they had separated because of infidelity in the marriage. You would have never known that, just looking at them now. And what shocks me about a lot of young people that feel like, when their spouse do the ultimate thing, I'm not going to be like my mom and be a fool and stay with you. And then you get out there and you become single, and then you have a moment to think. That's the first thing that happened. You have a moment to think, and then you realize that maybe I jumped too quick instead of not worrying about what people saying and what TikTok and social media tell me what I should do, and follow what my heart is telling me. That's why I say marriage is not for the weak, because people don't want to make decisions that's beneficial to their soul and to their heart. And they don't want to have people looking at them a certain way for staying in a marriage where infidelity has happened. And that's the biggest thing I see about young people. They do marriage for the crowd, for people to ooh and ah, and they don't do marriage for the long haul. It's a difference. And long haul marriage, it takes time. It takes time. Now let me put a plug in there. If your spouse is a habitual cheater, then by all means leave him. I mean, if he's cheating left and right on you, making babies and all that kind of foolishness, yes, by all means leave him. Don't stay. Just because if he cheated on you during your dating process and your marriage, he's not going to change, sweetheart. Go ahead and leave him. I mean, and that's just it, y'all. Just go ahead and leave him. Secondly, if your husband don't know how to keep his hands to himself, yes, ma'am, go ahead and leave him, because I want you to live your best life. And living your best life being with a man who don't know how to keep his hand to himself, that is not safe for you and them babies that you have in your household. So those are the main things I would say leave your husband for. But if your husband cheated on you once, because you felt the separation yourself, but y'all didn't know how to figure it out, then work on it. Work on it. I mean, a lot of people gonna have that say so, because you got bitter people out there that's not happy with their own marriage and their own life and whatever and have you. But you got to make the decision that's best for you. So I want to put that out there. Another thing that I noticed about today's marriage, and it happened during marriage back in the day, is communication. Y'all, I have seen more marriage couple fuss about their spouse on Facebook Live, Instagram Live, or TikTok Live, and their spouse is nowhere around for them to have this conversation. Y'all, that got to stop. Oh my gosh, that has to stop. Why are you bringing other people into your marriage, baby? Don't do that. If you got an issue with your spouse, let me tell you how I was raised. A lot of people say these old school parents, y'all, this, that, and the third, but them old school parents have more wisdom than you all are giving them credit for. And that's your problem. You don't want to listen, but we gonna get back to that. My parents, when they had an issue in their marriage, those issues never left the house. They discussed it in the house with each other. It never left those four walls out of their house because number one, they knew that they're gonna eventually work that thing out. Two, they don't want nobody in their ear giving them information or feel like they need to say they 2.20 if it's not going to be beneficial. Now, am I saying not to talk to a reliable friend who does mean good to you? By all means, do that. But if you got a friend that you know is bitter, why would you go to that bitter friend? Because the only thing she's going to do is fill your head with more bitterness. Don't do that. And number three, the reason why my parents didn't put outside people in, because it's going to be harder to get outside people out. So y'all, if y'all having issues in your marriage, don't go on live and do that. Talk to each other. If I'm laying in the bed with my husband, and if I can't talk to him, but I got to go on live to do it, then I'm doomed in a marriage. I mean, I'm just doomed. So y'all don't do that. If you got issues in your marriage, communicate with your spouse. Keep all of those people out. And what's happening is everybody wants to have this real life, or, have a glimpse of what their home life is like. And they feel like, let me get everybody in so they can see the realness of my household. And you're making yourself look crazy. Don't do that. Don't do that. There's some things that go on in your marriage that should stay between you and your husband, and nobody else should know. It just should be between you two. Because when you give people a glimpse of what issues you going on in your marriage, the first thing they gonna say, child, she crazy. I wouldn't have did it. Don't do that. Or honey, something wrong with him for keep putting up with a woman like that. Will and Jada Smith are prime examples of how people have given opinions about how they do their marriage. However a person do their marriage, whatever worked for them, that works for them. You can't judge a person how they live their marriage life. That's why I say it's certain things that you just should not communicate to people about your marriage. So yeah, communicate with your spouse, not with outside forces, but with your spouse. Another thing that I see with our marriage, with young people, and just marriage in general, I can't even say young people, just marriage in general, because there's some old fools out there too, is that a lot of times you get married with baggage from an old relationship, and that trust that you lost with that old relationship, you bring it into that marriage. Let me tell you something, baby, because I was like that. I was like that. And I'm still working on it. I'll be honest, I'm still working on it. But just because your last baggage misuse you and abuse you doesn't mean that this new baggage, higher grade, good leather and all that stuff, is going to abuse you and misuse you. And so you shouldn't sit up there and try to put old dirty baggage into a new bag. And if you know you got a good man, then do that man right and give him his chance to hurt you. And if you can't find where he's going to hurt you, don't try to make up a hurt for him to hurt you. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because let me tell you about me. When I first married my husband, y'all, I had left the relationship. The relationship was not healthy because he was married. Number one, he was married. Him and his wife was going through whatever they was going through, and I was caught in the middle of it. And I was hurt because of the mere fact of I felt like I wasn't not good enough for him to want to settle for me. So I was just like, you know what? I'm done with dating. I'm not going to focus on another man. I'm just going to raise my daughter as a single woman. And that was my mind frame. Marriage was the very last thing on my mind when I met my husband. My husband had tried to talk to me twice, and I was just like, no, I'm good. Okay, whatever. Y'all, I'm not lying. I'm just like, I'm done. And the third time he tried, and I said, let me go out to eat with this man so he can leave me alone. So we went out to eat to a restaurant that was down the street from the school. And we sat down and talked. And that was like the first time that I had a refreshing talk where a man wasn't talking about my clothes, how fine I was, what he can do for me, how much money he got. Like, it was just a regular conversation between two friends. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, this is what it's like just to have a conversation. Just a simple conversation. Nothing intimate, no nothing. And so I started talking to him, and it was always that conversation that we had. So he finally asked me out on a date. And I'm going to tell you, y'all, this date was one of the most untraditional dates that I have ever been on. The most untraditional dates. Because most of my dates is like a restaurant, a movie, or something like that. We had a local fair that had came to town, and he said, "Let me take you to the fair um, for a date." And I was just like, okay. And so we went to the fair, and it was so comfortable. Like, it wasn't like I had to just, you know how it is when you go on a first date. It was nothing, that jitteriness I had, it was just like gone. It was like one of the best dates that I had. And at that moment, I was just like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I think this is it for me. And it changed my whole view of relationship. It literally changed my whole view of relationship. And when I got married, you know, that trust that I had lost with men, I had brought it into my marriage, and I had to work that out of my system, because I was like, hey, this is a different guy. He's nothing like them. Now, have trust issues come up? Yes. But it hasn't been to the point that I wanted to file for a divorce. I've thought about it, but no, because divorce was not an option for me because of that trust issue, if that makes sense. And so I say all that I had to realize that I was bringing old baggage of mistrust from other guys into my marriage, that I had to just like pump your brakes. He is not them. And that's the thing. When you get married, you know, those issues, or when you even start a new relationship, honey, when you bring your old trust issues into that relationship is doomed to fail, because every little thing that person does is going to trigger something that your old history went through, and you're going to accuse them of cheating or something, because that's what that old history is, what somebody did. Like, say for example, like for me, cell phone is an issue with me, and I'm one of those kind of people. If I can look through your cell phone, then I think you cheating, because that's the target and the trigger for me from my previous relationship, because the man that I was dating, he was cheating using his cell phone. And so when I'm not able to get access to my husband's phone, I'm just like, oh, he must be cheating. And I have to tell myself, no, that's just a trigger for you from your previous relationship, because he's not. But I had to tell myself, I have to tell myself, don't put him in that baggage. Now, has his cell phone got him in trouble? Of course it has. Was I seeking to find trouble? Yes, I was. But I am learning, and I'm still learning, y'all. I've been married for 10 years, and I'm still learning. So, yes, so don't bring your old trust issue that you have in your own relationship into this one. And my last one, because y'all know I got this 9 to 5, but my last one is, I'm a firm believer in this, is that if you don't do anything else, give each other respect. Y'all, I have not seen the increase of disrespect that husband and wife do against each other in my life. I don't know, it's because it's on social media and it's just more open. I don't know. But the amount of disrespect that you all do on social media, let me tell you something. If my husband does something that I don't like, I would never come on here and vent about it or degrade him as a person. Like, I would never do that. I would never ever. Just because I respect my husband enough, for number one, for being the man of the household, but number two, he's an image of me and I'm an image of him. And I would not put him in a situation where other people would disrespect him. My husband worked too hard. He worked long hours to provide for us. And then to disrespect him like that, that's an absolutely no-no for me. And that's the thing. We got to learn as women how to respect our husband. I don't care if he doesn't wear name brand clothes for you. I don't care if he doesn't, do this like the man next door. You don't know what the wife next door is going through. But don't sit up there and disrespect your husband in a way that you got other people questioning his manhood. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give you a prime example of what I saw, and I was just like, oh wow. So my faith is in it's Christianity, and this young lady was talking to her husband, and her husband had said something. I really didn't hear I didn't hear the conversation. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't hear the conversation. But the only thing I heard her say, she told me, "Why you say stuff like that? Nobody ain't really talking to you." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." You know how you want to be like, "Can I find something to do?" Because she said that out loud for all of us to hear. And he had this like, y'all should just be playing. I'm like, oh my God. Like the amount of disrespect in her tone. And she tried to light up. She said, "Yeah, I'm just playing. We play like this." And I'm just like, I don't play like that with my... So when she did that, I was just like, wow, the disrespect there. And that's the thing, y'all, everything, you don't have to be so blunt about everything. Because everybody tell me, I don't like sugarcoat nothing. Some things you need to sugarcoat, especially when it's going to bring a look onto your spouse in a way that people just like, oh, they don't mean nothing to them. Because that's the point where somebody going to try your husband. And it's like, yeah, I saw how she did you, but in my eyes, I think you a king. You know what I'm saying? You have to deter the enemy any way that you can. I understand? So the disrespect. We gotta stop disrespecting one another. I see all these people on social media that disrespect black women, and black women are disrespecting black men. And we fail to realize that who only have each other back? It's us. It's us, y'all. And we gotta stop. We got to stop this disrespect. And and that's the same thing. There's white men that disrespecting white women, white women disrespecting white men. We gotta stop. As a married couples, we got to learn how, if nobody else have our back in this household, we should have each other's back. All right? So y'all want to come in and there. You can hear the rest of this series about marriage is not for the weak on my Blissful Corner podcast. But until then, y'all, I hope y'all have a great and lovely day. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Bye.